Today's the Lightning's last day of the week without a game to play or preview as the Lightning finish a week off. So we answer some burning questions like, will the Lightning make the playoffs this season? Find out the answer to that and more on today's episode of Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Josh Sperber here, thanking all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if your team is the Tampa Bay Lightning, then this is the show for you. Today's episode of Locked On Lightning is brought to you by FanDuel, because you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Test your luck with FanDuel and visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, the Lightning tomorrow will be back home at Amalie Arena. 2 more games this week, one on tomorrow, Thursday, against Winnipeg, and then the other one coming up on Saturday when the Lightning take on another top team in the NHL in the New Jersey Devils before a couple road games against 2 of the worst teams in the league. A lot of challenges at home for Tampa this season, and this month, I should say, and 3 of the worst teams in the league are the Lightning's remaining tests on the road for the month of November. So we'll start with some burning questions. And in segment number 1, we'll get a look at who might be the bolt of the month so far for the month of November, meaning who has played the best for Tampa Bay so far in this month. The Lightning have played 4 games. They have not won a game yet. A 5-3 loss to the Wild started things off. The one constant this month, though, is that Nikita Kucherov is continuing his point streak. He has scored at least 1 point in every single game, including a goal and an assist against Winnipeg, and the team's only goal, shootout included, in their last home game against the Philadelphia Flyers. So he is the first player that we will discuss as a Bolt of the Month candidate. It would be a repeat, as he was not only named by the fan vote on our Twitter account, LO_Lightning. Please make sure to give us a follow there, but also named by the Tampa Bay Lightning in their fan vote officially as the Lightning's player of the month. And Kucherov has been a lot heavier on the assists so far this month, a pair of multi-point games. He has 2 goals and 4 assists in 4 games so far in the month of November. The last 5, he leads the Lightning with 9 points, 3 goals, and 6 assists. And, I mean, the stats speak for themselves with Nikita Kucherov, as they typically do. As I mentioned in yesterday's episode, he's a guy I think is going to be a Hart Trophy candidate. He's going to be a candidate for a lot of awards this year, frankly. Kucherov is just that good. We could spend this whole episode talking about how good he has been, never letting up, always. I believe he's scored a point in every game so far for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He has just been so key to the team's identity, to their offensive acumen at this point in the season. The team runs through Nikita Kucherov. That has become clear over the first month of the season. He is obviously the Lightning's best player. I don't think that was ever in doubt. He's just so good. I mean, I don't really know what more to say about what could make him a potential Bolt of the Month candidate. I mean, he's just been everything the Lightning have needed so far in the month of November, certainly the case in the first month of the season as well. It has just been a dominant start to the year for Nikita Kucherov. Another potential Bolt of the Month candidate, I think Victor Hedman is someone that we're going to have to look at. Hedman has been, a true captain for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but in the last couple of games, he has been increasing his offensive output. Certainly the case in the month of November. I feel like he's just been targeted more on the offensive side. He had his best game of the season with one of his best games of the season, another 2-assist game against Minnesota. He had an apple against Winnipeg as well. His first goal of the month came against St. Louis, and Hedman finished with a +1 against Philadelphia. So his point streak ended against the Flyers, but Victor Hedman continues to be a crucial part of what the Lightning do. I don't think that surprises anyone by me saying that, but the fact is he's getting more involved on the offensive side. It really seemed like that was something the Lightning were working on in practice when I last saw their practice earlier this week. And it's, they're throwing more pucks back to the defensemen. They're playing more controlled, and they're using the defensemen, particularly Hedman, to start setting up the offense, through the back. It also leads to Hedman firing more pucks on net. So I think that his goal output can increase. Really, in total, his scoring output, I think, is going to be bigger. And right now, Hedman is among the team leaders. He is tied for third with 13 points with Jake Gensel and Braden Point, as well as Anthony Cirelli. 2 goals, 10 assists. The 10 assists are good for third on the team behind Cirelli and Kucherov. And, of course, there are the intangibles, like the leadership that Victor Hedman brings to this Lightning team. So I think he's certainly a potential Bolt of the Month candidate for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And you look at some other guys for that honor. Brandon Hagel is a name that absolutely comes up. Brandon Hagel, like Hedman, has scored a point in all but one game in the month of November so far. He's someone that we're going to go into greater detail on in the next segment. Talking about just what he's meant to this Lightning team so far. Hagel was part of a blockbuster deal a couple of years ago and has had his best NHL seasons with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's 3 goals away from 100 in his career. I think he gets that this month. Coming off his 2 highest point total seasons of his NHL career in his 2 full seasons with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and this one is on pace to be his best one yet. Plus minus might take a bit to get to his high mark of 23, set in 22 and 23, his first season with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But Hagel has really paced that second line, and that has been a nice addition to the Lightning offense this season. Obviously, that first line of Point, Gensel and Kucherov was expected to be the top scoring line, was expected to be, the line that provides most of Tampa's offense. I know that sounds redundant, but that it's kind of what you expected from the first line. You obviously expect the points to go 1 and 2, but Brandon Hagel is outscoring every other Lightning first liner except for Nikita Kucherov. He's second on the team in points with 15 this season. And he has just been a leader and a scorer. Third on the team in goals, fourth on the team in assists. He has just been such a key figure for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it's really been a breakout season for Brandon Hagel. I think he's definitely a Bolt of the Month candidate. He might not have been the best offensive player this month, but he's certainly been one of them. And that is really, this season he's been the second best offensive player on the Tampa Bay Lightning when it comes to points. Kucherov, Point, they're the leaders in goals and assists, but Brandon Hagel's right there in both of those categories. And he's someone that we're going to expand upon in the next segment. Brandon Hagel has been one of the key Lightning players this season. He's certainly been a Bolt of the Month candidate, as we just mentioned, and we'll go into more depth on Brandon Hagel's potential breakout year and his really breakout couple of seasons with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And we'll talk a bit more about Brandon Hagel right after a word from our sponsors. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off of gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with a promo code NHL. With 5 generations of experience, Omaha Steaks constantly delivers the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code NHL and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at OMAHAsteaks.com, OMAHAsteaks.com, an extra $30 off with promo code NHL. Minimum purchase may apply. And with the amount of Omaha Steaks I am going to be about to eat, the select quote might be the place I go next. The World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the world's top athletes get to play in these high-level sporting events thanks to one thing, teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. Select quote's Lightning's insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safe in your family's end zone. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Other life insurance brokers offer impersonal, one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less, while SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents work for you to tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. Head to SelectQuote.com. A licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. SelectQuote, they shop, you save. Get the right insurance, get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started, and that is SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. That is the best place to go for the right life insurance policy for you. Back on Locked On Lightning, we're going to talk a little bit more about Brandon Hagel, who has been one of the bright spots for the Tampa Bay Lightning over the course of this season. It's been quite easy to get caught up with the offensive production of Nikita Kucherov. I feel like that is something that, really we'd all expect from Kucherov. He's been a key offensive player for the Tampa Bay Lightning over the last couple of years. And this year, it has been another offensive player who has stepped up for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that has been Brandon Hagel. I think at the beginning of the season, a lot more was focused on that Lightning first line, particularly Jake Guentzel and how he would adjust to his third new team in 2024. Braden Point, obviously a guy that was tabbed as a Lightning key player, and he has been that. He leads the team in power play goals, second on the team in goals scored. But Brandon Hagel has been truly crucial to the Lightning's success this season. We kind of started talking about this in the last segment, but Hagel is coming off of 2 career years with the Tampa Bay Lightning, combined 56 goals in the last 2 seasons, as well as 83 assists after playing just 22 games in his first year with the Lightning. He has averaged around 20 minutes of ice time in the past 2 seasons, but his ice time has steadily increased each year he has been with the Tampa Bay Lightning, getting up to over 20 minutes so far this season. And his 7 goals and 8 assists combine him for 15 points, second to only Nikita Kucherov on the Bolts this season. In goals scored, Brandon Hagel is third on the team. In assists, he is tied for 4th with Jake Guentzel. He's got a +3 in plus minus. That is 9th on the team. And he has played every game, one of a handful of Bolts who are able to say the same thing. 3 goals away from the team lead, 3 goals away from 100 career for Brandon Hagel, a guy who started his career with the Blackhawks, slowly gaining some ice time, but a big deal at the trade deadline in 2022 sent him to Tampa Bay, conditional first-round pick, so clearly the Lightning thought highly of him, and it has become clear to see why. These last 2 seasons have turned Hagel into a star for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it might not be league-wide just yet, but it really seems like he's getting there. Brandon Hagel did earn some first-line minutes in the last game when Braden Point was injured, 2 games ago now, switching with Jake Gensel at the first-line left-wing spot. And that, I think, something is in the cards for the future. Not that I think Jake Gensel deserves a demotion in any way, because he doesn't. He has been very solid for Tampa so far. He's been really exactly what you'd expect from a big offseason signing, as one of the leaders in assists, points, and goals. He's starting to get up there as well. But at left wing, Brandon Hagel has been maybe the better one this season. You compare his stats to Gensel's, they're tied in assists. Hagel has 2 more goals, but Gensel has a +4 and 10 fewer penalty minutes, as well as 2 power play goals, to which Hagel does not have a power play goal just yet. Gensel has also played the same amount of games as Brandon Hagel was. And I think that there is definitely a possibility that we see Hagel more on the first line later in the season. I think one of the reasons Gensel has that better plus minus is because he's on that first line. And, when you have Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point, 2 of the best goal scorers and goal producers in the league, that's going to increase your plus minus a little bit. But as good as Jake Gensel has been, I think Hagel has been, that much more key. The 26-year-old has truly been a leader on that second line. He is someone that Connor Geekie spoke about personally as someone who has really helped him adjust to the NHL and adjust to this Tampa Bay Lightning. And that just shows the leadership that Brandon Hagel provides. I think he's someone that if he stays long enough with the Tampa Bay Lightning, he's someone that eventually, could end up with an extra letter on the front of his jersey. Maybe an alternate captain in a couple of years. I mean, you never know, depending on how long he stays with the team. But I think Hagel's really been breaking out for the Lightning over the past couple of seasons, and scoring over 50 points in the last 2 years. I think it's hard to call this one a full breakout season. I think it's he's just solidifying himself as one of the just one of the better players in the league, and one of the stars on this Tampa Bay Lightning team, and a guy who is truly key to the Tampa Bay Lightning success. I think that, he might end up getting some first line minutes, but I kind of like him as the leader of the second line. Him and Anthony Cirelli really work well together, and adding Connor Geekie onto that, you have some of the Lightning's best young players on that second line, and they're succeeding together. Geekie's 20, Hagel's 26, and Anthony Cirelli is not exactly the elder statesman, but he is the oldest on that second line at 27. And, that youthful Lightning second line is a group that I think could be a nice young core of the Tampa Bay Lightning in some ways. They're not the core guys. The Lightning are obviously going to be the Points, the Kucherovs, Victor Hedman, Vasilevsky, but it doesn't mean that those second line guys are not ever been as crucial to the team as they are. And Hagel has certainly been that. I think he is someone who could finish with over 80 points a year. He's on pace for career highs in just about every stat category, and I think it's something that he could get to this year. We might see 40 goals from Hagel this season. That was the only bit of his production that really dipped last year. I think the penalty minutes might need to come down a little bit, but Brandon Hagel has really established himself as one of the best players on the Tampa Bay Lightning. He is someone that, could compete for an all-star spot this year, I think. That still remains to be seen, but I think he's the guy that the Lightning are going to want to involve heavily in their future plans, just providing some forward depth, a really versatile offensive player, and a guy who has just been so clutch for Tampa Bay over the course of this season. So big kudos to Brandon Hagel, and we certainly hope that we see more from him. Now, right now, the Tampa Bay Lightning are 4th in the division, 2 games in hand over the Buffalo Sabres, who were tied at 15 points. The 2 more losses for Buffalo puts them under 500 and under the Bolts in the Eastern or in the Atlantic Division standings. Lightning are still in the top 4 in their division, which means they're in the playoff hunt. Can that continue through the month of November and beyond? Now, I recently had the pleasure of going to the Joint Chiropractic in one of their 23 Tampa Bay area locations. I do have some back pain. It's an issue that I've dealt with a while and never really knew how to fix it. Once I found out about the joint, I went. I was skeptical at first, but I was greeted by a helpful and friendly staff that were able to quickly not just diagnose my pain, but then do some stretches and exercise on me that I didn't really know could happen. They kind of, adjusted my back in ways that I didn't really know that it could move. And I have been relatively pain-free ever since. Part of that is also include the stretching program that they put me on. The doctors of the joint will tailor a stretching program to your pain areas that is just really going to be exactly what you need. I've been on that stretching program since I visited the joint, and I have had a significant decrease in my back pain, and just in general felt more mobile and more able to just, go about my everyday life pain-free. And you can do the same thing if you head to the Joint Chiropractic. But first, make sure to go to Buccaneers.com, fans, contests, and promotions, and get your first visit for about $60 off at $19. Your first visit is usually around $78. So this is a great deal if you go to Buccaneers.com, and you can head to thejoint.com to find your nearest Tampa area location. I went to one in Clearwater, closer to where I live, and it is one of 23 Tampa Bay area locations, I'm sure all of which can give you the help that you need in managing your daily pain. So the Lightning have one more day without games to play or preview this week, and that is today. So we'll stay in the previewing mindset as we take a look at the postseason. Looking in the Eastern Conference, I honestly believe that the top 4 in each division are going to be the 4 teams that you see in the playoffs right now. For the Eastern Division, unfortunately, the Florida Panthers are in first place. Big 7-game winning streak for the defending champs, getting back up to form. Toronto Maple Leafs are currently tied for the third most wins at home, with Vegas and Winnipeg both in first at 8. The Maple Leafs have 7 wins at home, tied for third in the league. They're in second. Boston Bruins might have a goal differential of -12, with 2 games in hand over the Tampa Bay Lightning in fourth, but it's the Bruins in third, 1 point ahead of Tampa. Lightning are in fourth at 15. The Buffalo Sabres also have 15, but they have played 2 more games than Tampa Bay, both losses. Ottawa Senators at 14. Red Wings are at 13. Canadians are in last at 12. At 16 games played, while Ottawa and Detroit are at 14. Now, we'll look mostly at the Atlantic Division, the Metropolitan, Devils, Hurricanes, Capitals, Rangers in that order. I think we'll definitely see some changes in the place of the Metropolitan Division. I think that it's going to end up being the Rangers and Hurricanes switching spots. I think Rangers are just more built to last. In that Metropolitan Division, I think the Islanders might have a shot of sneaking their way in there, but the Penguins are already in sell-off mode, trading Lars Eller to the Capitals. Blue Jackets and Flyers, I can't see getting out of the cellar, as they're both tied at 12. with the Montreal Canadiens for the second worst team in the league. Nashville with Steven Stamkos is in the worst at 11. So Lightning fans got to be pretty happy at how that signing has worked out in the off season. And we'll take a deeper dive at the Atlantic Division, of course, where the Lightning play. Now, the way the season's going right now, the Lightning technically have a better winning percentage at this point in the year than Boston. The Bruins have one more overtime loss, one more regular season loss or regulation loss, and the same amount of wins. They have scored fewer and allowed more than the Tampa Bay Lightning, and second worst in both of those categories in their division. The Bruins have still been one of the better teams in the league in the last couple of years. Obviously, some offseason losses have kind of adjusted expectations for this team, but many still expect these guys to be a playoff team. But right now, I see them as the weakest link in the four playoff teams right now. You know, they still have their core: Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, Elias Lindholm. But, you know, the new goalie, Jeremy Swayman, a big part of that as well. Morgan Geekie, brother of Connor Geekie. But I think that the Lightning could overtake them in the division at some point this season. I don't think that they'll get in the top two spots. I think that that's going to be a battle between Florida and Toronto for that top spot. But I think if any team, well, I mean, I think the Lightning could be considered vulnerable too. It's been a tough start to the season, but the Lightning have been in games, and the Lightning don't have a goal differential in negative double digits. They haven't played the Bruins yet to start the season. Don't get them until 2 games in January and less than a week apart, the 9th and 14th. When the 9th is when they will be in Tampa. And I believe they'll play them later in the season as well. But, you know, it's going to be a while before they actually get to see the Bruins. 2 games in January, 2 games in March for the Bruins against the Lightning that I think will be a little bit more telling. So it's kind of hard to see how they match up head to head with, you know, the fact that they won't until later in the season when a lot more is decided. But I think the Lightning are just kind of in a little bit of a funk at the beginning of the season. It's something that was mentioned after the last game. Just the fact that, you know, the Lightning have been in every game that they've played so far this season. Same can't be said about the Boston Bruins. And I think there's enough veteran leadership on this Tampa Bay Lightning team that they can kind of shake that funk. They can shake the fact and that it hasn't gone their way in close games this season. I think that they will. I think, you know, part of that is, you know, could be how this off week has an effect on Andrei Vasilevskiy. He's definitely someone who has underachieved. He still had a solid season start so far, but you just expect more from a guy like Vasilevskiy. And I think that this bye week could be a good chance for him to just get back on the good foot and start, playing up to more of the level that we expect from him. I guess in terms of winning games, he's at a 2.3 goal allowed average, 910 saves percentage with almost 300 saves already through 12 games. And I don't want to say that Vasilevskiy has not been good this year because he has, but he just needs to be better for the Lightning to really solidify their playoff chances, because I do think that there are teams that can absolutely knock at the door. The Ottawa Senators are a team that the Lightning saw early in preseason, and they have a lot of solid goal-scoring talent on their team. I think the Red Wings are a team that can come up, and right now, this Atlantic Division is pretty close. Just 3 points separate the Lightning from the Montreal Canadiens, who are currently in last place. This Atlantic Division, I think, is wide open. You know, I think that other than those first 2 spots, the Maple Leafs and the Panthers, I think it's pretty clear that they are the class of the Atlantic Division, and the 2 teams that you're going to need to beat in the Atlantic Division. Panthers, then Leafs, unfortunately, in that order. But beyond that, I think this Atlantic Division can be wide open. I don't think the Bruins have played up to their full level yet. I don't think the Lightning have played up to their full level yet. And I think teams like the Sabres, the Senators, the Red Wings, maybe even the Canadiens, who have been on the outside looking in for the last couple of years now, are certainly at a point where they can challenge. So I don't think the Lightning should take their playoff spot, that fourth spot in the Atlantic Division, for granted. Because there are teams that can't be knocking on the door. And I certainly think that the Lightning have the potential to move up. I do think the Lightning are going to finish in the postseason, but they're going to have to use this week off to step up. Now, tomorrow, the Lightning will try to show that they have some more life coming out of them out of the bye week. We'll preview the Lightning's game against the class of the league right now, the Winnipeg Jets, who the team was very complimentary of during practice and after the last game, and has already beaten the Lightning by 3 goals once this season. So that'll be a nice test for Tampa to prove that they are still at the forefront of the playoff hunt rather than on the bubble. And that is going to do it for today's show. Josh Sperber here, thanking all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen today. Now for your second listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I also want to shout out to all 1,000+ of you who have subscribed to our YouTube channel. We really appreciate the fans, everyone who has subscribed and helping us reach this big milestone to 1,000 more, then 2,000 more, then 1 million more. Please like, follow, subscribe. We appreciate the fan support because this podcast is for you, the Lightning fans. So thank all of you for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday because we've got Lightning hockey back tomorrow.